Hello, this is Joan Friedman, your host on All Ways, ALL Ways. ALL for the Academy of Lifelong Learning associated with Cape Cod Community College on beautiful Cape Cod, Massachusetts. The purpose of this broadcast is to introduce the Academy to a broad audience. We plan to introduce you to our wonderful coordinators, talk about our curriculum, events, catalogs, and many publications. Today we have with us June Calender, one of our valued coordinators at ALL, who's been with us for quite a while. June's going to talk with us about her background, the courses she's taken, what ALL means to her, and what she would like you to know about ALL. So June, hello. Thank you so much for making time for me.
Thank you for having me here.
June, why don't you give us a little bit about your background and what got you involved in ALL?
Well, I've been a writer all my life in one way or another. And before I came here, I was in New York City for 25 years writing plays, which were seen off-Broadway, not on, and so far off, I sometimes say, as Alaska. Indeed, I was in Valdez, Alaska, and saw a play of mine done there, quite a few places. So I came here when I got done with being in New York City. It had been 25 years. I was getting older. I have a daughter and grandchildren here on the Cape, and I had been up many times because there were all these holidays I had to come up for, and Cape is just a wonderful, beautiful place to move to. So here I am, and I've been here probably, I think, 13 years. When I first came up, I thought, now I know my daughter and all of her friends who are in another age group, and I need to meet people my own age. And the first autumn I was here, I discovered ALL, which are people my own age, or
Our mission is for people over 50.
yes,
So.
and I was close to 60, and I met many people, and I still meet new people all the time. And ALL is just a wonderful collection of a wonderful variety of people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've always been impressed right from the very, very start at the quality of the coordinators that are here. I think Cape Cod attracts a lot of people who we're not maybe in education, but are very interested in lifelong learning, and come to Cape Cod for their second or third chapter and want to get involved in something new, maybe something that they hadn't done in their backgrounds, maybe taking some courses that, were not exactly, in their past, or teaching something that, they've always wanted to teach. So I find that, a real attraction to ALL to get students and also to get our coordinators. So tell me a little bit more about your class, June.
About my craft?
Your class.
My class. I began teaching the second year I was here because the first year I took a writing class and I found it was not satisfactory for me because I had been writing a lot, so I didn't need to just write and have people say, oh, that's nice. I needed to share what I knew about writing by that time. So I started teaching, and I taught a somewhat more not exactly regimented, but somewhat more demanding kind of writing than just say, come bring something to class. We start out with basic things that you need to do, like describe a person, describe a place, learn some dialogue, which is people find hard. And then it expanded to various varieties of that sort of thing. I've met so many wonderful people who have joined my class, and many are from other fields, never thought they would write until they got here, and then thought, oh, that looks like fun. And it usually was fun. Mm-hmm. Plus, at the same time, I was taking a long-standing poetry class. I don't think of myself as a poet, but I've written a lot of poems since I've been here. It was taught by a man named Peter Saunders, who had a PhD in poetry. but had retired from, I even forgot what he did, but something intellectual. And he started a class called So You Want to Be a Poet. I could have called my classes So You Want to Be a Writer, but I didn't plagiarize him. And many people in the poetry class were business people or people who had not had a profession, all sorts of people, and writing quite wonderful things. Peter himself did not teach writing, the poetry at all. He just invited people to write. And they did, and he would sometimes make very nice comments, but he never said, oh, you need dynamic pentameter here or something. Never happened. It was people together writing things, usually from their personal life or observations, and it was just a wonderful class. Peter himself wrote 5 or 6 or 7 books of poetry, which were very nice poetry. He died about 2 years ago, and we've been kind of staggering along with a poetry class. And right now we have an extremely talented poet who is Welsh, actually. His name is Glyn Dowden, and he is now co-teaching the class with a woman who has not written much poetry until she joined the group 2 or 3 years ago. And the class it disappeared, of course, during COVID. Now it's back, and many of our older friends are not back yet. I don't know if they will rejoin or not. But it was always very inspiring to me to have that class going on, and while I was also teaching writing, which was not poetry at all.
Yeah, thanks for bringing me to a topic that I did want to mention, and that is during COVID, of course, the Academy for Lifelong Learning was out on Zoom. And our membership went down, of course, and the number of courses went down because not everybody was ready or willing to teach or to learn long distance. I, however, found it was very helpful, and that all my ALL Zoom classes helped get me through COVID, which is a very difficult time in everybody's life. Right now, we're doing both in-person and Zoom classes. We have slightly more in-person classes than we have Zoom, but we're up to about 74 courses, which is just slightly less than we were before Zoom. Our numbers are still slightly down, but are back up to about 400 students, and so that the combination of the in-class and the Zoom is working for now. However, in the very near future, we'll be able to do hybrid classes. We already have purchased the technology that's in the classroom already. Our coordinators are learning how to use it, so that we'll be able to do a combination of in-class and Zoom, so that people that are still not ready to come back or just find it so much easier just to stay home will be able to do that. So we're hoping that that we can get back our base of students, and also through doing programs like this be able to broaden our outreach to a broader audience because of our Zoom and technological capabilities. So that our teaching and learning obviously changed during COVID, and I think it's going to remain changed. And ALL has been trying to keep pace with all of that. So how do you think that'll work out with your classes?
I will not teach on both, but yes. Actually, I'm currently working with a group which is not an ALL group. It's a group a group I know from ALL, and we do a combined class like that. 3 people sat around a room this morning and talked to 3 people who were on. Actually, Zoom didn't work this morning for some reason, but who were on the picture for us. So I'm used to doing that, and I really much more like having people in the room. I especially like the Zoom classes when it's something I can watch on a. Right now, I'm in an opera class, and it's great fun to watch the opera. It can be on Zoom or not. In this case, it's not, but I can imagine it's just working just as well on Zoom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you want to stay home and sit back and listen to somebody give you a lecture or show you videos or whatever, that's working for ALL too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody has their preferences and everybody has their strengths, and hopefully offering a number of different modalities will be attractive to a number of coordinators and a number of students.
I think so very much.
It's all very exciting.
Yeah, we have been through such an extremely changed time since I have even been here. I mean, things were very much simpler back then, 14, 15 years ago, and now it's quite complicated.
Yeah. Yes. So, what else would you like to tell us about your classes? Do you teach a memoir class?
Yes, I taught. Well, they're nearly always sort of memoir classes. I don't call them that. I didn't call one that because I thought of the idea of having an ABCDarian approach to your memoirs, which was sort of a tricky thing but kind of fun. And that's the only one I called by that name.
Mm-hmm. And what is that?
Well, I asked people to start out with the alphabet and think of the things in their life that would fit with each number or letter. Mm-hmm. I mean, they may have been born in Annapolis, and they may have a father named Bert, and they may have
I see.
gone to college, wherever. So that would give them a chance to. People often don't know where they want to start when they want to write a memoir. Mm-hmm. Should they start with school, or should they start with their profession, or where? And that was. I may go back to that because I still like that idea.
Okay, you can go back to it any time.
Yes, I can. I think I've been thinking about it.
Okay, all right. Anything else that you wanted to tell us about your memoir classes, or what writing memoirs has meant to you, or other
people sort of want to write memoirs, and people often write very interesting things from their lives that they haven't written about before, and they share it with the rest of their family or their friends, and that's very satisfying. There's a brand new book out called Memoirs for Mental Health or something like that. And somebody loaned it to me just today, so I cannot talk about what it says. But I totally know that I will agree with it. People discover so many things about themselves and about their lives, about the world around them when they're writing. Mm-hmm. So they sometimes come into a class with something that's quite unexpected to them and to us, and that's really very wonderful.
June, I know that you're an author.
Yes.
Could you talk a little bit about the things that you've published?
I've pretty much been publishing since I was in high school, but it was silly stuff in the local papers. And as I said, I was a playwright, and mostly playwrights don't get published. They get produced, and that's the wonder of it, to see your own stuff on stage and people talking and saying your things. But I've always had more or less stories inside of me, and I've written many short stories, but within the last 2 years, I wrote a long novel. It's called The Friendship Quilts. It's not a how-to at all. It's about a heroine who's finding herself and where she's going to go with the rest of her life. In the context of writing a PhD thesis about quilts. So, and I've been having very good responses from people who have it. I talked to my quilt organization about it, and I've been getting very nice responses from them. So I'm very happy about it, and I hope to get it into more stores and places around the Cape.
June, thank you so much. June brought me one of her copies of the Friendship Quilts. I must say, just the title of it just strikes me as just incredibly warm.
It's
and layered, and I can't wait to sit down and read it because, frankly, I haven't read a good book for a while. So thank you so much.
Well,
Thank
it is
you for
layered. I just have to explain that friendship, we all know what friendship means, but there is a small town in Indiana named Friendship, which was quite near where I grew up. It's a very small town, and that's where this lady lives. So it's a double meaning.
Okay. Well, June, was there anything else that you wanted to talk to us about at ALL and what it's meant to you, or what would you like other people to know that we haven't talked about?
The range of things you can learn and do at ALL has been enormous since I've been here, and I think it's growing in terms of just expanding ideas and things. New classes happen every year. Never before we had a Sherlock Holmes class, for instance, but we do, and we have a whole variety of classes that have never happened before. And I've been taking all kinds of classes. I took to documentary film for several, and it's not happening this year, which makes me very sad because it just hasn't worked out. I took all sorts of classes, and it's been a very fulfilling part of my life.
Yeah, as I said, we've got 74 classes,
Right.
That range from Whitey Bulger to
Yeah.
origami to writing incubators, and if anybody would like our catalog, we would love for you to contact us at Cape Cod ALL, all one word, .org. Again, CapeCodALL.org. If you get on our mailing list, you'll receive our catalog of courses, information about events and speakers in our newsletters. We'd love for you to sign up for courses. We're always looking for new coordinators to add to our rich curriculum. And we have openings for volunteers on many of our boards, including helping us to broadcast always and to do our video casts. There's plenty of work to keep a mini college going with a volunteer staff, and that's what I feel that we are, is that, as I said, we've got about 400 students, about 74 classes, and we're all volunteers. It's like a mini college inside of a college, and all done with the love of volunteers. So, June, unless there's something else that you wanted to talk about.
Well, I will talk very briefly about the ongoing anthology that has been done almost every year since the beginning of ALL.
Please.
I have been editing it for the last, I think, 9 or 10 years, and we'll get it this year. It's full of writings and photographs.
And it's called what?
And it's called Reflections.
Reflections.
All by people who are a part of ALL. And the variety is just enormous, and the quality of the writing and the photographs is wonderful.
Yes, we all look forward to it. It's a wonderful production, very, very high quality. The writing is wonderful. Our students have so many talents in quilting, in photographing, painting, and Reflections is very, very looked forward to every year. We thank you so much for putting that together for us.
It's been a pleasure.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you all for listening. Again, please contact us at CapeCodALL.org to get our catalog, and thank you very much.